Do you want me to be honest, or...
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's CloPlaysGames, and we're continuing on making up our parts that were missing in my playthrough with Sour Apple of the letter. And then I'm going to continue on with her. Me and her actually left off at Rebecca's arc, for anyone who actually knows this game, because it's an old game anyway. And so I have to catch up to that anyway. What did I pick? I wonder if I'm gonna actually, you know what? This is what's gonna happen with this, you guys. Oh, sorry, I've been recording like all yesterday and all night, editing, and like my sleep schedule is sporadic and weird. I have anxiety issues, you guys, and I got so much editing and so much done for my channel and just stuff in general. And now I'm just like so sleepy. Okay, I picked the second one. Okay. So you guys, once I finish this, I have a mobile playthrough that was just me, and there's no commentary, but it's like slow dialogue, so someone can read along if they want. Maybe one day I will go through and do the other paths or whatever and so forth. If I'm super ambitious, but that's probably not going to be until much later, because this game takes too dang long, and I have other stuff to do with my life, and so here I am rambling to my subscribers who I don't know who actually watches my channel. But anyway, that's what happens when you're sleep deprived and you're trying to make content.
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to sugarcoat it. I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. The silence stretches on, and I almost believe that she will never answer my question. I suppose I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? Surely we
Isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for himself. Everyone's supposed to Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She trails off.
as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive. Because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
The scene outside of the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of the temp agency, which provides staff for Wright Enterprise in the hospitality sector. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Okay, so the party is where we left off, so we're almost back. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in droves, carrying crockery and silverware, good for several dozen people and then some. Chefs and bartenders trail after Jonas, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen into the wine cellar. To peruse the stocks to select what can be used at the party and what can be used for cooking.
No! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
A string quartet readies up to play for the evening, turning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. And an ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. It is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white chiffon, one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. God, rich people are so just bougie. But despite the fact that I told Marianne how I will attend to all of this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all of this, I only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things that Luke wanted to have for the party. I'd wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering with only a select few invited, namely the people who I actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to catering to them. There's just not there.
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
What a horrible husband. The entire thing screamed Luke Wright, and I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? Shh, girl, this is a story of like a woman who falls in love with like wrong asshole man. What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I still am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me just because my father owned the company. I had insisted that I start at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself. And I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money, and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was the calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor license, and public relations supervision of staff. And man, is this what it feels like when I message people? Because I be sending novels, and this is a graphic novel, but so much unnecessary information sometimes. Well, I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker, even back then, having dedicated most of my youth caring for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looked for praise from anyone who would give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me, for me, Heaven Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married where we talked about everything and anything. From big things like business, society, and philosophy to little things such as we as what we had for breakfast or whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Why don't you guys have a dog? Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who are docile and subordinate. A woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attends to his needs, to have children, to take care of them in his absence. They said I had no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society. But I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for my attention.
The guests have arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic entrance, knowing him. Open the doors, then. We mustn't hurry.
Cars line up the driveway, prepping the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind. Grand tours, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car or two, convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen, being packed by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it was too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media vans as well. They're all here for what can be considered the biggest event of the year of Luxburn. So far, who knows what we'll plan for the winter holidays.
Welcome everyone. Please, make yourselves at home.
Some of the guest idols welcome me in the warm, if not strange sunshines we are experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind the Okay, the same thing that happened last video has happened in this video, guys, just FYI. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I can see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals, here whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society. Such as that young man with his original air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men alike.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Or that rose-colored woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure of why she's here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
And then there are people like the chief inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. People who stand on the border between being suspicious and being trustworthy.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see?
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
She told me she'll just be in the gardens. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. It's no offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal, you've hidden his body. I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax, I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Rochelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? Well, I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Have I mentioned how I don't trust him, no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift, I suppose.
Why don't you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as these carry on as the guests continue to tickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hour passes by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. You make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly unless I am pulled aside. For a while, I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself. And when they're not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more than to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, a failing in security which should be brought up to higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. And then there's that rose-haired woman once again. Is it hard not to notice her with her distinct locks? She also lacks the grace that the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the air she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her their attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. I approach intrigued, although it is no great mystery which occupies her own attention with the glance she keeps sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending that I am there for a drink.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
The boy comes over, but I do not speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it is a wonder he doesn't hear what I say.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I have never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen on a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It is chilling, and though I am used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. My attention is pulled from the girl and I see a woman staring. Dark hair and dirty. She looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have the mind to call the security. At the woman with her mouth breaks out into a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I am nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. It makes my hands shake and I nearly drop my drink. But then in a blink she's gone and the buzz of the party returns.
I'll keep that in mind, but are you all right?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
Name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor, who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so. Usually stovies, which I often hadn't been too keen about, though I ate them nonetheless because she brought them for me.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way. But yeah, that's me. Little Becky. We met.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses!
Well, Becky, we met once before.
And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
When my lists off names, the more red and more quiet Becky gets. She looks a bit. She starts to look a bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I've triggered a horrid childhood memory. Surely I haven't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone with an earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. But what do I know?
Like everything you have to work at it. Like everything you have to work at it. Sorry, I keep skipping the text, guys. There is a glimpse, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't do. What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with, It's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're just humans. It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids, and you were the first I told anyone about my crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. It feels ridiculous remembering all that years later, talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls, as if it's some gospel every woman should adhere to. It was so easy to say such things then, with me not knowing any better. Though looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, even for her to take it to heart. But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Anne told me. There is no time to ponder over that. However, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd, the music restrains, the chatter slows to a grinding halt as doors from the foyer. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago. Anyone else this late would simply be too embarrassed to show their face. So this can only be one person, or rather, one man. There's only one man who is audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way why people's eyes light up as he speaks. How they listen enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hand here, a little smile there, and a big swagger. I always tell him that if he is not to be a businessman, he'll do well as an entertainer. I love the sight of him, especially when he looks at me and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's side and make my way to Luke's.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
There's a round of applause, cheers, and even some hoots. Guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It is because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she is dangerously close with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Finally, we're caught up! Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. But that does little deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is hurt. Although it might be too late for that, as I see an empty glass of wine in her hand. How much has she imbibed?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing her finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol on her breath. I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet. But I am absolutely pissed by the fact that she's endangered her own baby by drinking. There is a considerable amount of restraint and grace I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient, if tight smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indescribable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I am just about to ask that exact same thing.
I don't know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me? What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk! That's all it is! Just completely and utterly mad! Has anyone seen the Chief Inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
Guys, I have no idea where I ended here. So I'm gonna end the episode here. Hopefully it's right here or so. If not, I will come back again and be like, just kidding, and add a little bit more to this episode. But we should be back with Sour Apple and moving forward and finish this playthrough. And I'm going to keep on making more content because I'm feeling more inspired recently. So in the meantime, may the Lord bless you, may He keep you, may His face shine upon you, give you His peace. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.